Okay, thanks for joining us. I'm here with Chris Petersen. He's the founder and CEO of Cloud Awakening. And Chris used to work with Salesforce. Now tell us a little bit what you did at Salesforce, what gave you the idea for Cloud Awakening, and also clearly you couldn't call it Cloud Atlas, which is where you look up stuff because it's a Hollywood movie, which is like, damn, that was a cool name. But Cloud Awakening is pretty good too.
Cool. Yeah. So I guess we came up with the idea of last year, and really wanted to, I guess, make a change for the small to medium businesses that I had been talking to in the marketplace.
You saw a gap in the market, clearly.
Exactly right. Yeah. So I think it's the right time to be entering the market as a startup, and a right time to be doing this as a business. So I guess there's a couple of different answers to that same question. Firstly is that the Cloud Awakening is also about the fact of where we are right now. It's an awakening of the market to cloud technology. I think now it's people actually demand it as something that there has to be cloud. 5-10 years ago, there was questions about that, questions about security or mobility or whatever the case may be. But now there's that case of it's just being accepted, which is fantastic. So, and I guess that's why we saw it as the perfect time to start right now, is just because that people get it.
Yeah. Now your product is called Asset.Guru. Tell us what that is and what it does.
Cool. So Asset.Guru looks to solve three major things. Firstly, to help companies understand what they own, where it is, and what it's worth. And that's really about fixed or physical asset management. And it's almost like the elephant in the room when I talk to customers, because most people want to talk about revenue or cost or all that sort of thing, but very, very few people have an in-depth conversation about what they own. And I think this is a perfect opportunity to sort of say, well, look, what we see is that our competitor really is Microsoft Excel.
Yeah.
So when we start to talk about competitive and how we place ourselves in the market, 99.9% of the conversations that we're having literally day to day are about Excel and how to move companies from Excel into the cloud. And so that's exactly what Asset.Guru does as a product. It helps them give a product or get a product that is scalable, that's that provides that transparency, and obviously then helps them understand what the net worth of their assets are.
And I mean, aren't there other little modules in Salesforce or ERP or other things that try and do this, or they're not doing it in the way that you're doing it?
Yeah, it's slightly more complex. So I mean, Salesforce is a beautiful platform, and you can build a number of different things from that.
But it's for sales, not really for asset tracking.
Yeah, absolutely.
I mean, there's lots of modules there too.
There are indeed, and Salesforce, to their credit, have been doing a fantastic job in going into a whole bunch of different verticals in the marketplace and actually understanding how to make those more valuable. So make the companies more valuable, make the steps that those companies go through more valuable. What we're trying to do, though, is a specialist solution. So that's all we do. We do asset management. And I think there's a lot of strength that comes with that pure focus. So rather than it being a broad pitch, it's very specialized. And I think that's where our value comes in, is that we understand the depreciation, the write-offs and write-downs of what people do in their day-to-day work. And more interestingly than that, for me personally, is that we start to encompass a whole bunch of different user types. So, safety and compliance officers, people that are finance background that might have only just been working with the general ledger. And conversely, also with business users and executives that just want to have a single snapshot view of where they're up to.
So do you have an import tool from an Excel spreadsheet?
Absolutely, yeah. It would be crazy not to. So,
seeing as you said that's your big competitor.
It is. And so we'll continue to support that as an integration, basically importing information in from Excel straight in, and obviously export out too if people need to do that as well.
Sure. And what's the connection with Xero, your plugin module for that? So there is, you become your own plugin as such.
Correct, yeah. So we're really excited to be Xero's first add-on partner for asset management worldwide. So that's a really great step
That's
forward.
An Australian development as well, right?
So Xero's from New Zealand actually originally, of course, and then so
but I mean you guys.
Of course, yes indeed. So we're very excited to be Australian born and bred, and we're looking to take over the world in that respect. And we love the Xero culture. It's a great start. We add, I guess, and extend the value of Xero into a whole bunch of different ways as well, though, which is really important. Firstly is that we allow people that do use Xero to share information about their assets without actually allowing them information as to the day-to-day runnings of business, so cash flow or their bank account levels or liquidity levels or whatever the case may be. So obviously enlarging the net of the different types of users that can use the system is a big plus.
And this might sound like an obvious question, but what are the sorts of assets you're tracking? And can you also do things like track depreciation linked in with Xero and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, absolutely. So we post, last question first, we definitely post to Xero. That's part of the automated process that we offer, and part of that hands-off approach so that people can set and forget, which is great. But to your first question, that realistically what we're trying to do is actually work with the assets of any type that customer has. So we have a certain, like I've got a background of building, and so I love talking to building companies, project managers, property managers, strata and the like about that, because I think there's a really nice, neat solution to actually encompass assets from the very point of inception, not just from the point of the key handover. So that's a no-brainer for us to go down the path of. But just in the last week, we've spoken to a company based in California who does construction in that space. But we're also talking to companies up in Newcastle next week that do a lot of things around the mining sector and the like. So they're small mining services companies. So there's a real different broad range of different people that are very much interested in assets.
Yeah, I mean it's not just computers and laptops in someone's business.
Exactly.
You're talking anything.
Exactly right. Yeah, and generally the bigger the thing that they are trying to manage, the more value there is in it for us. So that's not a cost basis, it's actually a benefit basis back to the customer. So the amount of depreciation that they can write down, obviously.
I mean, could you use this as some kind of a stock taking system in a way? You'd probably have to have somebody entering data to note what's going in and out, unless, for example, you sell something with Xero and then it's like, well, it's one less asset because you've sold it, or am I stretching things there?
No, look, it's a very valid question. We know and love the guys at Unleash Software very much. That's an inventory management system. That's also an add-on to Xero. And we gladly hand leads their way when that comes, or recommend that that party goes to Unleash Software for inventory management.
Because that is different from asset management.
It is. And, and it's a very valid question once again, because people do get them confused. Inventory is all about what do I have right this second and how can I get rid of it? In other words, to make money. Asset management is about what I have and how do I get the most value out of what I have continually.
So, and not forgetting that I've got own XYZ assets.
Exactly right. And that's one of the key benefits that we bring to the table, is the idea of lost assets, and that idea that people that write out Excel spreadsheets, they hand them to an accountant. It's just one step away from reality. And the problem with that is the accountant tries to do as much as they possibly can. They love their work, they try and do everything right by the customer, but they simply don't have that transparency of what's really going on in the business. And that's what Asset.Guru offers.
Sure. And I know you're focused at the moment on assets, but what other areas could you branch into, or things are you thinking of doing without necessarily giving away the secret sauce of what you've got next?
Yeah, sure. Look, I mean, I'll be honest with you. I think there's a long way more for us to go down this asset path. And we want to build out a mobile first strategy for next year. That's the number one thing that we're going down the path of. We're very excited about Apple iPhones and iPads being a single source for that pathway. And the reason being is that I think it provides an ecosystem for people to understand, both from the building site to to headquarters, to a mobile worker, be that 24/7 around the world, for them to understand better what their asset net worth is and how that interacts with their financial system.
Can you share, without necessarily giving away names if you don't want to, but who some of your other customers are, or customer classes? You mentioned construction.
Yeah. So in customer classes, we're definitely looking at so anything from retail. There's we spoke to a customer last week that actually does the crazy, like the mobile signs, that say, hey, parking to the left, or event special signs.
Those big signs now, they're very detailed now.
Exactly right. Yeah, and so it's little things like that really come to the forefront, is that once you start thinking about what you could track and what you probably do own, then that's a no-brainer avenue for us to go down the path of. And actually, just last night we delivered an extra feature, which is check-in, check-out of assets. So whilst we're not meant to be, some sort of glorious book that you write down, oh, hey, Bob took out this particular thing, be that a tool or a mobile sign or something like that, then it allows people to do that within Asset.Guru as well, which is an added plus.
And obviously you're getting the info out there via the press, and you put a press release out a couple of weeks ago.
Correct.
What other sort of marketing are you doing to get the message out? Obviously you're on Xero's site, and there'd be some cross promotion there, but what else are you doing?
Yeah, so look, we need to do more of the same. We've gone, we're a global product, so we're focusing on the US, the UK, Australia, and New Zealand. We've only really just started with Australia. So we've got to really tap into the New Zealand market, being the home base of Xero, and then the UK, and then the US after that. And that's really part of the premise, is that, for example, we haven't done a single thread of marketing yet. Apart from, I think I posted a video on LinkedIn last night, and that's about it. So, we're just really starting off in that process. So the true answer to his question was, we haven't even really started yet.
Sure. So, I mean, how old are you? Just months?
No, not weeks. Even. So the company's been around since February 1st. We've been developing, but we only launched 2 weeks ago.
Right. So you're fresh.
Correct. Very fresh.
And presumably you're already getting some ideas from your clients, from users?
Exactly right, So they've been really good in feeding back to us about what they really expect.
I mean, you must have had some beta test users that you've been working with.
Absolutely,
leading up to the launch.
Exactly right. So we worked with two firms, an accounting firm and bookkeeping practice, and both of of those brought to the table Australian relevant knowledge about tax rules and the like, but also what their customers are demanding. And this is, I guess, what the part of the process of what Asset.Guru is trying to do is actually trying to close the gap between that Excel manual process and what now is completely automated. So have your trusted advisor be your accountant, rather than you do your thing internally and then only hand that across towards the end of the tax year.
It's like taking advantage of outsourcing
exactly
to properly.
Exactly right. And I think that's the way the market's going, is that, sometimes it's that these people that are accountants, financial advisors, tax advisors, CPAs, whatever the case may be, they bring a lot to the table that's not necessarily called upon at the right time. Sometimes that advice should be called upon throughout the year as you build that story. And I guess if a company is missing out on revenue, by depreciation, I should say, missing out on depreciation, and they suddenly do that as a result of Asset.Guru, then that's a fantastic outcome.
What's the pricing that people are going to be looking at to take advantage of it?
Yeah, so it's 3 very simple tiers. $49 to start off with, $79 and $179 per organisation per month. And so as you go up the scale, you get the addition to the ability to manage more assets and also include more users.
Sure, and I'll have it on the website, but it's just cloudawakening.com?
Cloudawakening.com. Specifically, the product is Asset.Guru. So that's one of those new domains, Asset.Guru.
Okay,
cool. That'll get you straight there.
Yeah, great. Well, thank you very much.
My pleasure. Thank you very much.